cue, make it attractive. That's about the craving. Make it easy. This is the response. And then make it satisfying, which is the reward.
And this is all about adopting a quote unquote good habit.
Correct. And then you can invert each of those four for breaking a bad habit. So for bad habits, you want to make it invisible. You want to make the cue invisible, and make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. And again, these are like a toolbox for thinking about what can we practically do on a daily basis for building good habits and breaking bad ones.
So obvious.
So one way to think about this is with a strategy that I call environment design. And the idea is just to restructure your physical environment to make the cues of your good habits obvious and the cues of your bad habits invisible. So let me give you an example of both. These are two personal examples. So first I realized that for most of my life, I brushed my teeth twice a day, but I wouldn't floss consistently. And when I looked at the habit, there were two issues. And one of the problems was the floss was just tucked away in the drawer in the bathroom. I wouldn't see it. And so because it wasn't obvious, sometimes I just would forget. The second thing, which sounds kind of silly, but I didn't like the feeling of wrapping floss around my fingers. It was just like uncomfortable. And so anyway, I took the floss out of the drawer, bought a little bowl, and got some of those pre-made flossers and put them in the bowl and set it right next to my toothbrush. And now I brush my teeth, put the toothbrush down, pick a flosser up, do it right away. It's obvious. And that's pretty much all I needed to do to build that habit. Now I've been doing it for, 5 years and haven't really had to think about it.
This is the most important thing, I think. There's a lot of people, my friend Dan Buettner included, who don't hold a lot of confidence and belief in a single human being's ability to implement positive behavior changes with sustainable long-term results. It's just, that's why there's so many self-help books. People struggle with weight and fitness and, you name it, profession, like all of these things. It's so hard. But the best way to fundamentally address these things is to change your environment so that it's conducive to the healthy choice. So whether it's flossing your teeth or reimagining what an urban landscape is so that it's incentivizing people to ride their bikes and not drive cars and not drink sodas but drink water, like structural, systemic changes in our environment that make the healthy choice, the productive choice, not only the obvious choice, but in some cases the only choice or the choice that is at arm's length at all times. And that goes with eradicating the unhealthy choices, removing those from arm's reach so that they become more difficult to access.
Yes, it's huge. I mean, imagine the impact of living in an environment or working in an environment where there are 100 little things like that are all kind of nudging you in the right direction or nudging you away from the wrong direction. Here's another example for breaking a bad habit. So again, here you just invert it rather than make it obvious, make it invisible. I've noticed that if I buy a 6-pack of beer and I put it in the front of the fridge, like either in the door or like right in the front of the shelf, I'll open it up and I'll have one each night just because it's there. But if I take it and I put it in the back of the fridge, like lowest shelf all the way in the back where I can't really see it when I open the door, sometimes it'll sit there for like a month. And so it's interesting, I'm like, well, do I want a beer or not? Because in a way I do, but only if it's really presented to me.
Right. You moved it like 5 inches away.
Yes, really. Seriously. It was probably like 12 inches back.
Well, I could tell you as a recovering alcoholic, in my drinking days, that would not have been a barrier for me. I would have had to take more extreme measures. But
so
go ahead.
That actually raises a good point, which is that many of these strategies that I talk about in the book are very effective for good habits and bad habits, even though we just agreed not to use that term, but not necessarily for